We're in the land of 10,000 lakes for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 250 at Elko Speedway in Minnesota. Hello everybody, I am Bob Dillner, and we're just past the midway point in the ARCA Racing Series season. And while the competition has been pretty close, one driver has shined above the rest. The converted off-road racer, Sheldon Creed, leads the points coming into this, the 13th round. But what he has done in the last 5 races is truly impressive. All finishes in the top 3. That's right, on the podium. His worst is a 3rd place run. But what's so important is the fact that he has scored 3 wins in those last 5 races, the first 3 wins of his stock car career. So Sheldon Creed simply getting it done. And what's more important about that is the chase for the championship. In that last 5 races, he has gained more points than any of the other competitors in this starting lineup. In fact, his closest challenger in the championship run is Zane Smith. Sheldon Creed has gained more than 200 points in the last 5 races over Zane Smith, and that's important if you're battling for a championship. So, Jim Trado, I want to know, if I would have told you at the beginning of the season that Sheldon Creed would have this big point lead at this stage of the game in the season, would you have believed me?
No, just past halfway, no way. Especially how he ended last year. Yes, he was very strong at Kansas Speedway in the finale, but as the season started here in 2018, what did Venturini Motorsports do? Sat on the pole, won the race, and will look really, really strong. Sheldon Creed has come on like a house on fire. He started heating up last fall, but he now has caught the wave of not only being fast, but being fast to the finish in the most recent races.
So who else in this point standings do you have your eye on?
I would have to say Chase Purdy has been the hottest kid compared to Sheldon. 4 straight top 5 finishes, and we're reaching into the short track portion of the season. So I see Chase and Zane Smith gaining on Sheldon, and 200 points is not too many. So I think those two MDM teammates might have something for Sheldon real soon.
Sheldon Creed converted from the dirt to the pavement. He's come a long way in just a short period of time.
From when I was little, I talked about racing stock cars, and NASCAR was my big thing. And even when I was racing BMX and dirt bikes growing up, I knew I wanted to go car racing and go racing off-road. And I knew I was going to go asphalt at some point, but we didn't know how to do it, or we didn't know how to get there. And Lauren Rainier has been huge for us. We got connected with him through Gary Johnson. I think that's when I was like, all right, if we're going to go this way, here's my opportunity. So the background of off-road and short course off-road, it just gave me a really good platform to work with. A lot of car control. Dirt bikes even helped a ton with line choice and not being afraid to move around the track and do different things in the race car to try to help yourself. And last year was a really good learning year for me. I think it was my real year of finally figuring out the whole stock car deal and just learning and picking up as much as I could, and had good runs last year. I think if things would have worked our way, maybe we got a first win last year, but that first win haunted us for a while, and so that was really cool to finally get that job done. And just we've been really consistent all year, which is kind of what we've wanted to do, and I just think we need to keep doing our job and keep going in the right direction.
Consistent would be an understatement for Sheldon Creed this year. Only one finish outside the top 4 all season long. A good crowd on hand at this beautiful facility, the shortest racetrack that we will visit the entire year on the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Now to talk a little bit more about what's going on here tonight is the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Alex Hayden. Alex?
Well, guys, keep in mind, Sheldon Creed's riding a monstrous wave of momentum coming into tonight's race, but there's still an awful lot of racing still to go here in the 2018 season, and the competition's not ready to hand over that championship trophy just yet. Their optimism is high to finish strong.
Obviously, I think 28 needs a little bit of bad luck here, but that is kind of my mindset right now, just where you just reset and click off 10 more races, and that's what I'm going to do. And we have some more short track races coming up, and I know Marty and all these guys bring me a really good car for all these short tracks. So every short track you go to, I'm really pumped for. I think we need a little bit more work on 1.5 miles on my side also, but yeah, the next one is my favorite one, really. So just got to continue to give it 110% every single weekend.
We've had some bad luck, got wrecked, broke some stuff, put us out of the championship a little bit. But our goal here for these last 8 races is to try to win all 8 races because we have the team to do it and the speed to do it. So and maybe who knows what happens at the end.
I think we're a lot closer to where we need to be than when we first started out, that's for sure. You know, like I said, we had a rough start to the first 6 races, but here recently we've really turned our luck around and we've had really solid finishes. So that's just getting chemistry between the guys, me getting better personally, better communication and stuff like that. But I feel like, you know, as the year goes on, we can only get better, and I feel like we're going to chip one off here soon.
We're a small team, as you know. We're one of the smaller full-time teams, and we've started off the year pretty well at Daytona and Talladega, but, you know, admittedly, by all of us, we've kind of struggled in some other areas throughout the season, but we have progressed from day one throughout the season. So 8 races left. We're looking to see if we can get our short track program kind of turned around. That was kind of our weakest point, I would think, of all the tracks, and so this would be a good test. This is some place it's a really small track. It's similar to some places I've been, so we're going to see how this goes. We're trying to finish out the year strong and see how we can position this team for the future.
With so many different agendas and a lot of unaccomplished goals, the rest of this 2018 season promises to be drama-filled and action-packed. And guys, it all starts with 250 laps of racing under the lights here in Minnesota tonight.
That's right, Alex, around a bull ring. This is going to be very exciting here tonight. And by the way, Travis Braden, we just heard from him. He's got a little bit of a string as well, going 3 straight top 10 finishes coming into this race. So that team really propelling themselves into the second part of the season.
And that team's working really hard every day at the shop. There's 3 guys in the shop full-time, Casey, Dan, the crew chief, and Travis, the driver. They are working so hard to keep up with what has been the competition raiser, MDM Adventuring Motorsports, in 2018.
This place is state-of-the-art. The grandstands here, very accommodating for everybody in the grandstands. You have suites, a great midway and concession area. I had my cheese curds a little earlier, so I'm a happy camper coming into this race. But these fans came out and they flocked to Elko Speedway to see the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards tonight.
One of the bigger races of the year for this racetrack. It's also a NASCAR sanctioned track, so they have weekly racing. The other divisions, 3 of them played with us tonight on this racetrack, and tonight after the races, they've got a drive-in movie theater right behind us on the backstretch, or on the front stretch.
Jurassic World is playing tonight for everybody that's in attendance. They can go over to the drive-in theater, put it on their FM channel, and just listen to a great movie. Definitely a lot of entertainment right here at Elko Speedway. But it's about time to get things kick-started. Let's go downstairs for pre-race ceremonies.
Here we go, race fans. We have a contractor through Menards here at Elko Speedway, Jamie Gotch, with the most famous phrase in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
That is a sweet sound there. The ARCA Racing Series stock cars coming to life here at Elko Speedway. And this place not only is beautiful and the surrounding area beautiful, but this place right here in the heart of Minnesota is very interesting. Just about 36 miles outside of the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Of course, famous because of this racetrack right here. 3/8 of a mile. It's a bull ring.
It drives differently, too. I listened to qualifying intently, and this racetrack may look symmetrical from above, but they're on the gas a little bit longer down the back straightaway, and we will be pitting in the infield tonight, so getting through off the backstretch, down pit road cleanly and back on the racetrack will be part of the plan tonight to execute perfectly.
And of course, they have a figure-8 racetrack here. My dad was a figure-8 racer back in Long Island. Loved figure-8 racing. But tonight, you can see the lights have come on here, and the fans are pumped up to see some really good racing here. 250 laps will be the distance tonight here for the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 250. The first ARCA race here held back in 2012, so just a brief history for ARCA here at Elko.
But one thing does hold true, to survive here does matter in the points. We also saw last year's champion win here, Austin Terrio.
How about some of the keys for tonight's race as we take a look at Jim Trado's General Tire keys to the race?
Well, because this track is so fast, talking 14-second laps, track position could be huge. Staying in that mode and mindset, where can I be on the racetrack? That also determines what point 2 is, pit stop timing. When do you want to pit? And maybe after halfway, or maybe after lap 100. but when they come to pit road, they've got to execute. And getting in rhythm. Older tires may fall off and not be on the same pace as those new tired cars. So staying and getting in the rhythm of your own pace will be critical tonight around this very fast racetrack.
The rookies have been very strong, but let's take a look at our Scott rookie spotlight here. And it is actually going to Joe Graff Jr., the kid from New Jersey. Had a great run, a third place finish at Toledo. That followed up actually a great run at Talladega as well with a second place run. This guy is coming on strong, and he's got a shot at being Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, the third place finish is best run after Talladega in the points tallies. But when it comes to short track racing, at who may be the most advanced driver from start to finish this season, this kid's on the most improved short list.
And he's got a just incredible amount of talent on that team. Chad Bryant owns the team. Paul Andrews is his crew chief. Mike Bliss has been his coach. This is the 6th round of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge, coming at you live from Elko Speedway tonight in Minnesota. We'll be right back here from this beautiful racetrack. Thanks for joining us tonight here at Elko Speedway, the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 250 at Elko Speedway. General Tire Fast Time Qualifier today, Christian Eckes in the JBL 15 for Venturini Motorsports on the front row with Zane Smith out of the MDM stables, already a 3-time winner this year here in ARCA competition. A great field of cars here, and Riley Herbst, by the way, starting at the rear of the field because he had a left front tire lock up in qualifying. They had to change that tire, so the young gun for Joe Gibbs Racing starting at the rear of the field.
Denise Engel has the 1 to go signal, 1 lap, and we're going to be flying around this little 3/8 mile racetrack in no time.
Chase Purdy, Chandler Smith on the second row with Joe Graff Jr. And there's your point leader, the 28 of Sheldon Creed. You can see where your favorite drivers are starting with the ticker at the top of the screen as we're set to go green here from Elko Speedway. This place held the finest finish of all in 2017. Let's see what it does here tonight. Let's get it cranked here from Elko. So far, Christian Eckes able to keep the lead, but we look at the 41, the La Paz car for Zane Smith, second in points, and honestly slipped up a little bit. Started on the outside of the front row, now being threatened to drop out of the top 5. Speaking of threatening, Chandler Smith in the 20 threatening for the lead.
This duo put on a show at Salem Speedway earlier this year. The last 50 laps showed this position, the 15 in front, the 20 stalking him to the finish till a dramatic ending. The 20 car of Chandler Smith. This kid has led more laps than anybody else on the Valvoline lap leaderboard this season. He's in that black number 20, the Craftsman Toyota, behind his teammate Christian Eckes, who had a great start. He had a 4 or 5 lane lead that's gone now.
Zane Smith started second, already back to 7th. It didn't look like that car was handling the way he wanted it to in the opening laps of this race, but Chandler Smith shot out of a cannon, and so was the 28 of Sheldon Creed. But now here comes his teammate, one of the other hot drivers on the circuit, the young kid, Chase Purdy out of Alabama in the 8.
Yeah, Purdy's had such a great strong run now as we reach the short track portion of this schedule, just past halfway in the 2018 season. He's caught a bit of momentum as well with his 4 straight top 5 finishes, as I talked about, but they came legitimately. It wasn't like he snuck into it. It wasn't pit strategy. This number 18, with crew chief Mark McFarland in substitution for Cully Barraclough, really got this young driver convinced he can go fast, and he's been brilliant in that number 8 car.
Christian Eckes came so close 1 year ago at this very racetrack. He raced Austin Terrio, the eventual champion of the series, right to the end of the race, lost it by about 3 feet.
Yeah, but when you have the top 4 cars in the last 5 laps within inches of each other, nobody gave an inch. That was the extreme control factor that this series helped these young drivers figure out. Right now, Chandler Smith to the bottom. Eckes is giving him some room.
Oh, and I see the yellow flag coming out here. Trouble on the racetrack already. Bruce in the number 2 winds up going around in turns 1 and 2.
The Virginia short tracker, a teammate to Willie Mullins here at this track. Willie's not been with us since Daytona, where he finished 2nd. Great to see that 2-car effort here making their appearance here at Elko Speedway.
The General Tire Pole Award going to the JBL team, the Venturini Motorsports car of Christian Eckes. We mentioned so close to the victory last year. He said he surprised himself, didn't think he could go that quick in qualifying. And I said, what was the secret? He said, actually, I drove it easier than I did last year, and he went faster.
Crew Chief Kevin Reed also, after that pole run, had a fist bump, looked around, waited for the others to finish qualifying. And I asked him after, I said, how about that qualifying run? He said, we still have to make guesses. We had a good practice car, but the teams could not do anything after qualifying except for minor adjustments in impound. So he said we made the right guess for qualifying, and Christian made it happen.
And I think that's a big key for us to consider here tonight, because we did actually, we practiced in the middle of the day, and there you see the number 2 of Bruce go around in turns 1 and 2. That's what has brought out this first caution of the day here in the 250 lap race. But I think the key thing here is all these teams are wondering what these cars are doing right now, because as I was beginning to mention, we practice in the heat of the day. It was mid 80 degrees here today. It was kind of hot and muggy. Now temperature's cooling off a little bit. Night has overcome this racetrack. The track temperature is changing, and that's going to change the handling characteristics of these race cars.
And the forecast was for only about a 7 or 8 degree cooling from the hot part of the day today. 84 degrees when we practiced till 4 p.m. Central. And Riley Herbst, one of those drivers in qualifying, just didn't get it right. But here we are with the ARCA coolers on board. He looks pretty cool behind the wheel, knowing he had to start in the back. But again, that tire change because of that qualifying issue has put him at the tail of the field. We'll see how he can get this run here. Again, we have one now. You saw the heat cycle in these tires at 9 laps. We'll see how they fire off on this restart.
JBL onboard camera for Christian Eckes. He's your leader. Riley Herbst now already up to 12th after starting at the tail of the field. By the way, Christian Eckes had some pretty good runs in the Camping World Truck Series in NASCAR recently. Had a good top 10 run at Iowa, actually won a segment at Gateway, and then got wrecked, honestly, late in that race.
Yeah, he led both races. He led laps for the Kyle Busch Motorsports. He has 2 more races left at Martinsville and Phoenix. His teammate here, Riley Herbst, also running for Kyle Busch Motorsports in another race at Las Vegas. So this is really the development series that will get these teams ready and these drivers going forward to make that next step into NASCAR.
Venturini cars on the front row, the MDM cars on the second row. Let's see what happens here on the restart. Here comes Purdy in the 8, trying to muscle his way underneath the 20 of Chandler Smith. Sheldon Creed right there as well. Oh, Sheldon thought about putting it 3 wide.
Sheldon Creed has led in 10 of the 12 races this season. You know what that tells me? I think he wants to lead. I think he knows he likes his car with clean air on the nose, even on a short track like this. I don't expect Sheldon to be too patient too long here. If he's got a car to do it, he'll make the pass.
Chase Purdy battling for second, Alex Hayden.
Snug race car. Chase Purdy with a tight race car, meaning front tires not even wanting to grip the racetrack the way he would like for it to. He's going to have to settle in, get some heat on these tires, and get a better run up off of the corner to try to get up underneath somebody heading in.
And traditionally, when you go to a nighttime race, your car's going to tighten up. It gains more grip. And I think that's what a lot of these drivers are going to feel, especially in the early stages of this race. But we do know, as you pointed out, pit strategy will be at a premium here tonight. There is Zane Smith a little bit further back in the field than we thought.
He started second. He lost grip on the initial start. Here again, now he's mired back. Cars are passing him on the inside and on the outside. The 41 of Smith, we see the left front brakes are glowing. This driver has the best short track finish average yet this year, struggling early on in the number 41 machine. He's back in the 10th in the 41.
Well, I take a look at that race car, Jim, and what I see is the left side kind of hiked up a little bit, that left rear, and even the left front a little bit. That car looks a little cattywampus around the racetrack. Here's the 18 of Riley Herbst and the 25 of Natalie Decker just behind Zane Smith. Riley Herbst with the ARCA camera with Natalie Decker going to the inside, and Natalie Decker with a new crew chief this week.
Yeah, the team's made a change at Venturini Motorsport. She's now paired up with Frank Kimmel as her crew chief and driver coach. She's gotten by Riley Herbst. We saw a puff of smoke on Riley's car a lap ago. We mentioned brake issues in qualifying. That might be a tap on the brakes toward not to get into his friend Zane Smith, who had an altercation at the last lap, last corner at this racetrack. They both brought it up today. They do not want to get into each other's harm's way. They were battling for 5th late in the race a year ago here at Elko Speedway, and both of them ended up crashing.
Battle for the lead beginning to brew here. Going around the 48 of Brad Smith, 11th in points coming into this one. Chandler Smith is stalking his buddy Christian Eckes. The teenager is looking good at the front of the field.
And Eckes, the experienced one, if you will, amongst the drivers here. We all know Natalie Decker made only her second ARCA start a year ago as her team at Veteran Motorsports with the 15 machine. They have had it cooking. This kid led 91 laps last year before finishing a very close second. So the number 15 of Eckes, recent experience, leading a bunch of laps here. He definitely has the point now. Chandler Smith, I said, how'd you prepare for this race? He said, I need to see what this track's going to do. That was before practice. I think he figured it out. He was fastest in the practice session of anyone.
Joe Graff Jr. in the 77 for Chad Bryant racing that big time team. Joe was telling me he prepared by looking at a lot of videos online to figure out the line around this racetrack, but he does have a very unique story here as well. He began his career at just an early age in the old Bandolero division.
Yeah, his dad Joe is here. Joe raced himself, Legends cars here for 3 years. And young Joe at age 9, they lived here for 3 years. He actually started racing Bandoleros at Raceway Park and some here at Elko Speedway on the pit lane. So yeah, it's a reunion of sorts for the Graff family back here at Elko Speedway.
Natalie Decker, pretty impressive so far, trying to get up underneath her teammate in the 55, the Long Islander, Eddie Thatcher. Thatcher, his final scheduled run of the year in the ARCA Racing Series, currently running in the 9th spot in that 55. Being told some developments from the 41 camp. Zane Smith might have a tire going down on his race car, currently running in the 12th spot. He was second in points coming into this one. That could be a big blow here tonight.
The ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards, is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards. Hers, forever good. And by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world.
The ARCA Racing Series live from Elko Speedway tonight here in Minnesota. And we've had a change of the lead. Christian Eckes dominating the early stages of this race, but now the 16-year-old Chandler Smith in that 20 has taken the top spot from the 15. We'll take a look at what happened while we were away at break. Chandler Smith didn't do it the easy way. He went around the outside.
Christian gave him a lane, but didn't make it easy on him. They raced off for turn number 2. Better drive off of that second corner, and that's how the 20 of Chandler Smith, the 16-year-old, grabbed the lead.
He was 15 years old when he won just a few weeks ago. Here comes Gus Dean. Top 5 finish last year here at Elko, now battling with the point leader in the 28, Sheldon Creed. This is a battle for 4th on the racetrack, and Dean gets it.
Gus is looking sporty. It's the first time this year he's brought that Gree Chevrolet to the racetrack and raced it. It's been a backup car, but they had an accident last race at Iowa Speedway, forced them into this situation, this 11-week grind. They said, we think the car's as good as the primary. He's proving that Kevin Sawinski and this entire team has done their work. Kevin used to live here in Minnesota, in Lakeville actually, racing an ASA championship out of shops just down the road from here. He's got a ton of laps. That's got to help this team with crew chief Jamie Jones calling the shots.
Yeah, Lakeville's just about 8 miles from this racetrack. Back in the old ASA National Tour days, there is your point leader. We mentioned he's turned 16 now, so he's growing up a little bit. And so far, Chandler Smith looking good. He told me he's got a little secret. He drives a little bit differently than anybody else does here in the series with how he enters the corner. Well, don't change a thing, because it's certainly paying off for him. He had 4 straight pole positions to start his ARCA career. Second spot right now is the 17-year-old Christian Eckes, who finished second here 1 year ago.
This is his 7th start on the season. Eckes is not signed for a full run. Last year he could only run the short tracks, and at just 17 years of age, now can run Pocono, and he has a chance to really show his wares when he turns 18 in November. Next year, every track is available to him on this series, and it's going to be neat to see how Christian makes that work, as he's in the Toyota development mode mindset, and that number 15 machine doing everything he can with Kevin Reed to bag another victory this season. He already has one at Salem Speedway.
Eckes going around Willie Mullins, and That team has a lot of people here rooting for him tonight with some local sponsors and his wife Dinah actually from this area. But right now, Christian Eck is able to work his way around that number 3, and he's doing so in a quick fashion because he knows he's got Chase Purdy right on his tail.
Yeah, spotted Brick Griffin's probably telling him, hey, guess what? The 8's right behind you now. Wherever you go, he goes. And the number 8 has a spotter named Joe White, and Joe has been around short tracks for all his life and now making Purdy fast here going into turn number 3. He also, Purdy does, has Austin Terrio helping him as a driver coach throughout the race weekend. So
yeah,
that's got to help a ton.
It's paid dividends, honestly. Austin Terrio brings a lot of notes to the table, and of course, he won here last year. So Chase Purdy and Austin Terrio earlier today were walking around the racetrack as soon as the pit area opened here. And Austin Terrio, with all of his intellect, and he is one smart dude, was showing him every nook and cranny of this racetrack.
And that's important. They've done it now in the last couple races. Austin Terrio, last year's champion, advising on the radio, talking him through practice. And Austin told me a key component for this young driver in the number 8 is, what are we doing in practice that will relate to the race? Not how can we make our car fast at 2:30 p.m., but how about at 9:30 p.m. when there's 50 laps left in the race? That's been a great challenge for this team to develop.
Chase Purdy has finished second 2 times this year. Can he go after the win here tonight? We'll see when we come back. A lot of action going on right now here under caution. The second time we're under caution today at Elko Speedway for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 250. Many of the top runners on pit road, including the leader in the 20 car, Chandler Smith. Second place, the number 15 of Christian Eck, is also on pit road. Both of those teams taking 2 tires during this caution. And there is the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge point leader coming into this one. Zane Smith started on the outside of the front row. Let's go to Alex Hayden.
They got the hood up on this race car, and they're working on the left front corner of it. Now they're going to push down on the right front. They were fearing that they may have got a broken shock at the front of the race car. It wasn't 15 laps into the race. Zane Smith radioed in to crew chief Marty Lindley and simply said, something's wrong with the race car. I can't tell if I got a tire going down or if something is broken. They told him to ride it out and hope for a quick caution. He continued to do so. He came back on the radio and said, I feel like it's something in the right front. But as of right now, no fewer than 6 different black-clad fire suit crew members working up underneath the hood of the race car, and it looks like they've diagnosed it on the left front corner of this race car, a suspension problem. Difficult problems right here early on in this race.
And Alex, we were getting reports of a possible tire going down, but the way that car sat and the balance or the attitude of it on the racetrack just looked like there was something wrong on the left side of that car, because that left front and even the left rear was kind of a little bit hiked up more than it would normally be.
Zane's really strong. These are his chances on the short tracks to get into that position to gain points on Sheldon Creed.
And I understand Alex Hayden just reporting to us that it's a broken sway bar on this race car, so that team actually having to go to work and make sure that's buttoned up and get him back out on the racetrack.
And these teams are pitted in the infield. Their haulers are outside the racetrack, so if they don't have a spare, we'll see how they manage here with Marty Lindley, a very experienced crew chief. He won the K&N Series last year as a crew chief with Harrison Burton, so we'll see how these guys play it here if Zane goes back on the track or behind the wall.
And this is a bad break for Zane Smith, because we talked to him earlier today. You know, he knew he needed maybe a bad outing from his teammate Sheldon Creed to climb back into this points chase. And today he's having a tough time of it. We'll see if he can rebound here at Elko Speedway. Take a look at the average finish here for the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge this year, and Zane Smith coming into this one head and shoulders above the rest.
A second place average in 5 races, I'd say he's doing really well. Chandler Smith putting on those laps, getting those finishes, not running a full schedule. Sheldon Creed, the point leader, back and forth. He's actually gained in position at an average finish of 5.4 with his recent run at Madison. Prior to that, he was kind of 6th or 7th or 8th best of the drivers. So this, again, shows that he's not proud, showing strength on the short tracks, but he's certainly coming to fore where nothing goes wrong right now for 2018.
And Zane Smith, honestly, this race car was very good for him. He won with it at Nashville, won with it at Toledo, so they had a lot of good thoughts coming into this one. Now 1 to go until we go green flag racing once again, and look at the crowd that we have here tonight with the beautiful sunset of Elko Speedway.
Sway bar arm is now the correction on the 41, so we'll see how it can last out there. Maybe they tied something off, tied down the suspension. Whew. Tough break for Zane Smith, again, trying to gain those points, knowing the pressure's on. It's his MDM teammate that he's wanting to gain points on, and he's on an uphill climb right now in this race.
So Gus Dean, Joe Graf Jr., I believe, didn't pit during this sequence here. So they're out in front of the field. Let's see if they can hold off the fresher rubber behind them. Look at Joe Graf Jr. in that big time 77, beating and banging with Gus Dean in the green machine. Going at it here at the front of the field. But chomping at the bit is the JBL team for Christian Eckes. And on his inside in that second row, Chandler Smith.
Great onboards here in the JBL audio on-car. You see it's a bit bumpy down low. There's not a lot of room for error when you run too wide here. Trying to get that position, and Eckes is going to lose his spot, and now he finds the bottom. Hey, maybe I need it on the bottom right now. Eckes is a very smart driver, getting cleared to go to the bottom now to run in that third position on the inside line.
The bottom is the way to be here. But there's Zane Smith.
And our bolt now. Popped off. They can't fix it. Got to ride it out.
So a little clarification there. We saw them working on the left front, so problems in the suspension, the left front suspension for Zane Smith. 2 laps down, being scored in 14th. Remember, he was your Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge Championship leader coming into this one.
See that bump in turn number 2 hasn't affected Chandler Smith's run, but he's also able to work his right way around the outside of the 32 of Gus Dean. Gus leading just a handful of laps this year to this point. Great to see a strong run for him. We'll see if he can hang on, and this will tell us right now, point number 2 in my keys to the race. Pit strategy, how good are those new tires and how many cars will be a factor without fresh rubber.
So Chandler Smith back to the front here. Gus Dean continues to ride in second. We look at the battle for fourth. Chase Purdy in the 8 in that Bama Buggies machine on the inside of Joe Graf Jr., the kid that started his career at 9 years old driving Bandoleros at Elko Speedway. He returns for the first time since those early years in his career. And Purdy able to get that spot on him. And look at the 78 for Mason Mitchell Motorsports. Blaine Perkins having a very good run as well after starting 8th.
We just got a glimpse there, Brad Smith pulling off the track. That's an indicator he is not going to return to the racetrack action in that Smith Brothers Ford.
Right now, Joe Graf Jr. is not in the right lane. And look at Riley Herbst just take Sheldon Creed up to the 3rd groove in 1 and 2.
Tires are really racy in these first 20 laps, and they level off, Bob. That's what the crew chiefs are telling me. Once they level off, though, they're decent. But the fresher rubber, you got to take advantage of every opportunity to gain positions here.
Watch this from the ARCA onboard camera for Riley Herbst as he tries to fill the hole and get to the inside of Joe Graf. Graf now currently being scored in that 6th spot. Graf able to close to the bottom of the racetrack, but Riley Herbst right on his back bumper.
And the 32 machine of Gus Dean ahead of them, still trying to run too wide, which may slow the pace for some, but in reality, he's got a race to run, a race to win, and older tires doing everything he can ahead of this gaggle.
You know, this seems very familiar to me from that 77 team, because last year, Dalton Sargent in that race car, Chad Bryant calling the shots. He stayed out longer than anybody else, and it honestly bit Dalton Sargent. So we'll see what happens here as when the next caution flag comes out, because Joe Graf Jr. is going to have to come down pit road next time for fresher tires. For more on another guy that probably needs some tires right now, here's Alex Hayden with Gus Dean.
Yeah. Gus Dean having a solid run here in the early part of this race, but you're right, tires are everything, but it all comes down to pit strategy and which decision the crew chief wants to make. Do you come early like we saw some of the leaders do a moment ago? Do you change only right sides? Do you change all 4 tires? 6 tires is all they have to manage throughout 250 laps of racing. Gus Dean talking about the car being a little bit free getting into the corner, which means when he rolls out of the throttle, setting up for turn 1 or turn 3, the back end of the car wants to dance around on him, and that's preventing him from diving down where he needs to on the racetrack.
And that's a precarious position to be in, because he's basically just holding onto that wheel, not wanting to saw at that wheel, but a little bump from Riley Herbst. Herbst sends the 32 green machine up the racetrack, and here comes the NOS Energy Drink number 18 to the inside of Gus Dean. Great racing today from Elko Speedway here with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Welcome back to the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 250 at Elko Speedway. I'm Bob Dillner, Jim Frano along with me in the booth. Alex Hayden downstairs getting all the information from pit road. There was a battle on the racetrack for 6th spot. Eddie Thatcher now taking that spot in the 55. Gus Dean holding on. The South Carolina driver has his hands full right now. One of only 2 cars that did not stop for tires. he and Joe Graff Jr. You see Joe Graff in that 77 just behind Natalie Decker in the 25 and Gus Dean. So they're holding on in the top 10, but right now probably, Jim, hoping for a caution.
You know, and that's the thing about this racetrack. We see Gus holding on. I was waiting for that magical moment of 20 laps into those fresh right side tires, and Gus was hanging on to 5th. Now he's on the outside lane, and cars with better grip are taking advantage now. As we see Natalie Decker to the inside in that N29 Capital Partners number 25 machine, that red machine. She's got experience here in super late model racing as well as racing here last year. So seeing her advance like this, it's a good sign that her experience at a track, she's had a lot of experience in these cars. Partial schedule last year, running now her 12th race or 13th race this season. It's good to see her back in familiar territory and doing very well.
And Gus honestly is doing a great job. Shows you the talent that he has behind the wheel of that Baker Distributing car. There is the number 8 of Chase Purdy now in second spot. What's going on with that race car, Alex?
Well, Bob, he's reported that the race car has been very tight here after they put on right side tires on lap 59 under that caution flag. However, when you watch him go around this racetrack, he's making good adjustments as the race car driver. He's getting into the corner much lower and allowing the nose to settle down. But Chase Purdy with a tight race car having a pretty nice run here as we close in on the mid stages up to the second spot.
And honestly, Jim, this is Chase Purdy's style of racetrack. He's so good on the short tracks. Last year, he ran the K&N Pro Series East Circuit in the NASCAR ranks. So 5 times he finished second. This year already in the ARCA Racing Series, twice he's finished second. He's hungry for a victory.
And he's also racing a longer distance super late model races starting last fall in the Snowball Derby at Pensacola, Florida with Anthony Camping racing. And this past Tuesday night, he ran all 250 laps of the Slinger National, the Slinger Super Speedway, a high bank track just down the road in Wisconsin. He finished 6th there. So he's got a lot of short track recent experience too.
And Chase Purdy was knocking on the door. We talked about it to get in that top 5, and Steve Apel kind of held him off there in the final laps of that race. So here we see Blaine Perkins in the number 78 to the inside of the 15 of Christian Eckes. How about Blaine Perkins?
Blaine has done a nice job. He said, my car has been so loose all day, it's like driving my Lucas Oil modified around this racetrack. He said this place reminds him a lot of a track he raced at a bunch, Erie, Colorado, and Colorado National Speedway. And he said, yeah, it mattered to a point, but these cars are a lot different than drive. I feel more like a modified, almost out of shape every lap, more horsepower and tire grip.
Yeah, he says he's about a quarter throttle down some of the straightaways here. Green flag racing here as Chandler Smith leads Chase Purdy and Blaine Perkins at Elko.
The ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards, has been brought to you by Sioux Chief, America's manufacturer of plumbing, drainage, supply, and support products. Scott Rags, give your home improvement projects your best Scott. And by PowerStop, performance brake upgrades for just about anything you drive. Visit PowerStop.com.
Just past the century mark in this one and closing in on the halfway mark in the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 250. There's the number 20 of Chandler Smith, the 16-year-old out of Georgia, leading the field. By the way, Gus Dean now not taking those tires, going a lap down at least just momentarily here unless he gets the aid of a caution, because Chandler Smith is clicking away some great laps. Natalie Decker, got to say, a great run for her. And you see that gentleman with the gray hair on the outside? That's the 10-time ARCA Racing Series champion, Frank Kimmel, in Natalie Decker's corner as her crew chief here at Elko.
Great job by Frank getting this car dialed in. Natalie said they made a change this week, Monday. They put Frank in charge of Natalie's operation. Dave Weiner and his crew are now overseeing the 55. Only the tire specialist stayed with this team, but Frank has been her driver coach, he told me, really all throughout her ARCA racing experience, starting last year. Getting his confidence, now they have a full direct connection with his crew chief abilities working with Natalie.
Hey, Alex Hayden, that 25 car is looking sporty here today.
No doubt about it. Natalie Decker having a fantastic opening half of this race tonight. You mentioned Frank Kimmel, the winningest driver in ARCA history. May not be any surprise that Natalie's running as well as she is here at Elko tonight. Frank Kimmel won this race back in 2013. He certainly knows how to get around this tight little racetrack. Now, Natalie's reported in before the pit stop where they changed right side tires. The car is a little free in the center of the corner. corner and just a little bit snug when she gets back on the throttle. Those two fresh tires on the right side have certainly cured the handling of that race car. Currently riding in the 7th spot. She's looking for footing. You mentioned all the changes that have gone on leading into this race. 4 top 10s to her credit this year, trying to improve it and get into the top 5.
And here's the key thing, honestly, for Natalie Decker. Frank Kimmel told me this week he went through that car with a fine-tooth comb. That's the exact replica of the 15 machine, Christian Eckes, who's having a pretty good run here as well. The ARCA onboard camera for Riley Herbst, and Riley Herbst started at the tail end of this field because he had to change a tire, the left front tire, prior to the race. He's now all the way up to 6th. Last year, he had a great podium finish here at this racetrack. So Riley Herbst hoping to keep on creeping up and maybe challenge for the win here today at Elko Speedway. Just past the halfway point in this one, Riley Herbst, there he is, climbing through the field, but it's Chandler Smith still dominating over Chase Purdy and Blaine Perkins from California, having a great run. Chandler Smith continues to dominate the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 250 here at Elko Speedway. How about this? He just put the point leader, Sheldon Creed, with all that success a lap down. Here's the DuPont Protect Plus mid-race recap. And this one has been awfully exciting right from the get-go. There is Christian Eckes in the 15, leading Chandler Smith in the early going.
Yeah, General Tire pole sitter Christian Eckes in that white 15 had a really good run, but guess what? A better run off of turn 2 to grab the lead about lap 35 or so, the 20 of Chandler Smith.
Chandler Smith able to set sail for a while and put some gap between him. But then we had Willie Mullins actually go around in the corner to bring out a caution. We've only seen a few so far in the first half of this 250-lap race. Gustine in the 32 trying to hold on with older tires. Chase Purdy charging through the field. He currently runs in the 2nd spot. So the driver from Alabama, very strong here today, looking for his first series win, but nobody has been able to touch the 16-year-old.
Chandler Smith in the number 20 machine, now back to live action. He is really putting on a clinic here because not only is he feeling the motion, he has that rhythm. We talked about getting into rhythm. It's been the show. Chandler's been able to dice his way through, lapping the point leader, man. That's a big move. Now there's 8 cars on the lead lap.
4 leaders so far in this race. You see a couple of cautions so far. Only 3 cars out of this race so far. So still anybody's game, and we still have a pit stop sequence to go. And honestly, for Joe Graff and Gustine, they're holding on for dear life because I think they haven't even stopped for any tires yet.
Right, and this is big. We see Sheldon Creed fighting back to the inside of the number 20 now. He let him go. He tried to pick him behind a lap car. We're watching that during a commercial break. It's close action here. Sheldon Creed does not want that free pass at the end if there's another caution. We always put the car that's the most recent lap down car, give them the lap back, but that's a different cycle they can pit on. Sheldon Creed wants to get back in position. He'll pit on lead lap. That's what he's fighting for here in that white United Rentals number 28 machine.
And that is a very good point. I want to bring up this as well. The leader, Chandler Smith, Venturini Motorsports. Okay, Venturini Motorsports running well with Christian Eckes as well. Sheldon Creed from MDM, Zane Smith from MDM, Chase Purdy running well with MDM in the 2nd spot. But I was talking to Marty Lindley today, and he said, we've never raced here before. We saw that at Madison, Wisconsin, where it took them a little while to really get going in that race. Well, that same type of circumstance here, they don't have that notebook to go back on to know exactly how to set up that race car. So it's been a little bit of a hypothesis here today. An excellent guess by Chase Purdy's team in getting the job done so far.
Yeah, I mentioned those MDM drivers. They've not been to Madison, they've not been to this track, and they have not been to Berlin Raceway, where we head to next Saturday night.
But Alex Hayden, we're still anxiously awaiting that 2nd round of pit stops. What are you hearing down there?
Well, Bob, the way this race is playing out, according to some of the crew chiefs I talked to a little earlier, specifically Paul Andrews for Graff, that this race they were afraid was going to go with long green flag stretches, potentially no cautions from midpoint all the way to the finish. Now, the ARCA rules for this race tonight is you must make a pit stop before lap 240. That's 10 laps shy of the advertised distance. You don't have to put gas in the car. You don't even have to change tires if you don't want to. You simply have to get in your box, come to a complete stop and pull back out. But the way this race is playing out, guys, those fresh right side tires, that may be it for those who've already come to pit road. If this race continues under green like we're seeing, they don't have to come back to pit road because they can all make it on gas.
Alex, you're absolutely right. This could go green the rest of the way. We are on a bull ring, though. Accidents happen, cautions happen late in the race, so you never know what's going to happen here and what's going to transpire. Chase Purdy, honestly, hoping maybe for one of those cautions he can come down and get those tires changed and maybe make a few adjustments where he can challenge Chandler Smith.
And he's in a position now, Bob, the number 8 machine, the Bama Buggies Toyota. He's 4 seconds behind the leader and 2 seconds ahead of third place. So this could be a chance for Chase to maybe drop back a little bit, save a little bit, ease off the gas into the corner a little sooner, not jump on the gas so hard coming off.
Blaine Perkins, great run for the kid who has won out at Irwindale Speedway in California in the late model ranks. Sits top 5 in the point standings coming into this one. The SRL Southwest Tour actually running there tonight. So he had a weekend off, so he comes over to Mason Mitchell Motorsports and doing very well. On board with the JBL camera with Christian Eckes. Eckes currently running in the 4th spot.
Nice run by Christian here. Again, look at the line he's taking. Not much different than his qualifying line, to be honest with you. Very consistent, getting in his rhythm off of turn number 2. This number 15 machine of Eckes. If he does have another opportunity, I expect his crew chief Kevin Reed to throw more General tires at this race car.
And I am so impressed with the car that is right behind him. Dave Liner, his crew chief on the 55, talking about Eddie Thatcher from East Northport, New York. In only his 3rd ARCA start, he is running in the top 5. He had a very good run with an 8th place finish at Toledo, and now knocking on the door here at Elko. We'll be right back here to Minnesota. 3rd caution of the night here in the ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards at Elko Speedway. Gus Dean spinning on the racetrack. It's been a frustrating night for that driver from South Carolina. And now some drivers coming down pit road, among them the leader Chandler Smith in the Craftsman number 20. I see Christian Eckes and also Chase Purdy on pit road as well.
Sheldon Creed getting the free pass. He will come to pit road as well. The point leader will get a chance to make some corrections with a track bar adjustment. He'll have to wait his turn, though, as the lucky dog. Chandler Smith, a nice job coming in and out of pit road. That's another thing these 16, 15-year-old kids learn here in the ARCA Racing Series. These live pit stops, under caution, sometimes under green, are helpful in this process.
It's a great training ground, honestly. And Christian Eckes, by the way, I see him come out right behind Chase Purdy in the 8. So he gains 1 spot on Blaine Perkins on pit road. So Venturini Motorsports having a very fast stop for that JBL team.
Yeah, tires given up on Gus Dean's car was the issue for this 3rd caution. I also see Joe Graff also getting a chance to come to pit road. The number 8 of Chase Purdy also taking 4 tires. Travis Braden went a lap down. He's again top 5 in points. This is another resurgence. This is the chance to get it right, perhaps for the final time on pit road.
Well, Chandler Smith now looking good at the top of the heap, but there is Sheldon Creed. It's been a struggle tonight. We talked about the consistency for that driver out of California. He is the free pass car, so he will be back on the lead lap when we go green flag here. But Sheldon Creed, that consistent string, may be broken here tonight.
Well, he has always said, at least the last 4 or 5 races, as good as he's run, he's like, short tracks, man, I don't know. I love Charlotte. I love Michigan.
Yes,
I love the dirt tracks. But I asked him today, I quizzed him. Every racetrack coming up, he's like, I kind of like that one. I kind of like that one. So he's not at a difference of opinion on short tracks, but it's kind of fun to listen to Sheldon and the great run they've had. He's very much in the mode mindset to do well everywhere.
Alex Hayden, what's going on in that 20 camp right now?
Well, obviously, Bob, they're very happy with the handling of the race car. Billy Venturini, the crew chief. So, good race car from what we've seen to this point. First of all, what's he saying about the car and the handling-wise? And is there any more pit stops in your future here?
No, we're done with pit stops. That's all the tires we had. We used them all up. Car was a little tight right there on that run. Made another little adjustment. Made an adjustment on the first stop. But car hasn't been perfect, but it's pretty darn good tonight. And if it goes green the rest of the way, I like our chances. He's been doing a great job.
As a crew chief and your job's done, how do you keep the nerves in check?
My work's done. I'm just a fan now. I'm like you guys. I'm watching the race.
Let's have some fun. The race leader and the crew chief, Billy Venturini, their job is done down here on the pit lane. It's now up to the driver on the racetrack.
known Billy for a long time. He's a perfectionist. As we look at Zane Smith with the hood up and trouble on the left front suspension for that team in the opening laps of this race, came in second in points, but he has had a tough night, as has his teammate, point leader Sheldon Creed. But getting back to Billy Venturini and Chandler Smith, he said the car's not perfect. It has looked pretty darn perfect here tonight.
Pretty close. And if you're just joining us on the MAP TV broadcast, Zane Smith, the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge point leader, dropped back almost immediately on the first start of the race, and he ended up, they diagnosed a broken sway bar bolt. So they continue to look at that car, address it, get that suspension as close to what they can for drivability for Zane and the number 41, who came in here second overall in the point standings.
Now the JBL team for Venturini Motorsports, Christian Eckes, finished second here 1 year ago, currently rides in the third spot. Might he and Kevin Reed be saving some of that race car for the end of this race?
The pace that Chandler Smith was putting on, they were costing time. I mentioned that gap between second and third. And then we found the 15 of Christian Eckes with a long gap in front of him. Yes, he could have been saving, but now is the go time. And Christian Eckes, the number 15 team, Kevin Reed wants to win every lap of practice, much less qualifying in the race. So I think the adjustments they made here in this white number 15, that'll start inside of the second row behind their teammate, they will try to get a good jump on the inside line. I feel Eckes will not wait long to get right to the back bumper again of his teammate as we go into green in that Craftsman number 20.
So everybody done with tire changes, with the exception maybe of Joe Graff Jr. and Gus Dean. Both of those teams still have tires in the pits because that was the first time they've been down pit road. A 168 complete, under 100 to go, ready for another green flag run.
See the difference. Wayne Perkins on the outside of row 2 had a bit of a wiggle. Tires got a little swirly on him on the initial start. He's dropped back to fourth already in that 4-star fruit number 78.
A little love tap from the 8 of Chase Purdy to Chandler Smith saying, let's get up and go. There's the ARCA onboard camera. How about Riley Herbst from the back of the field now, and right there on the back bumper of Blaine Perkins, he's in 5th.
Great run by Riley. He and his crew really went to work today. They seem to make more changes than anybody, and Riley has been adaptive, and he's really been conversing with Booty Barker, the crew chief, and the car chief, if you will. De facto Shannon Rush, who was calling all the shots a year ago. That team has always been working at the car, changing gears, changing shocks throughout practice sessions in the last 4 or 5 races. So they're giving everything they can for Riley to win again here in the ARCA Racing Series.
Riley, the biggest mover so far in this race, to Alex Hayden.
Talking about Riley Herbst and crew chief Booty Barker, yeah, they had to start at the back of the field because of qualifying. They locked up the left front tire. The ARCA officials gave them a fresh set of 4 tires to start the race on because of that incident. That's not the only thing they did. Booty Barker, the crew chief, decided he wanted to change some things on the front end of the race car with the suspension just to see what's going to happen, because they practiced and qualified in 85-degree temperatures here in Minnesota, knowing that they're going to race under the darkness and temperatures falling down in the low 70s. So not only was it the 4 tires after the qualifying incident, front end adjustments as well before the drop of the green flag.
That is very smart by Booty Barker. We saw him come from the NASCAR ranks for so long, and it was a wild sight, honestly, in qualifying a little earlier today, watching Riley Herbst in his laps around this racetrack. All of a sudden, you just saw a billow of smoke just come from the left front. In fact, let's take a look. Oh, just as we do that, Sheldon Creed, your point leader, 177 laps into this one, goes around in turn number 4 to bring out the caution once again.
4th caution of the day, and Sheldon Creed, the last driver you would expect with the great run he's had this season to come to the shortest track and have this many issues in this race. Got a lap down, got the lucky dog, and here we see him spinning. It looked like a little turf there, something flying up the racetrack. Hope it's nothing serious on that number 28 United Rentals Toyota. We see a lot of debris now being spit about after that spin.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what exactly that was, because we did see like 2 pieces of debris from the back end of that 28 car. You take a look at that left side tire. Maybe it looks like it's a little bit low on that 28 car. The point leader, Sheldon Creed, with some trouble here as we close in on the 200 lap mark. 250 is the distance today for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards and Chandler Smith. Let's just call him the dominator so far at Elko. Back here at Elko Speedway in the Sioux PowerPEX 250, an interesting development for the point leader here in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Sheldon Creed spun in between turns 3 and 4. Alex Hayden, what can you tell us about what was going on there? But before we go to Alex, we're actually going to see what happened on the racetrack. And there is Sheldon Creed going around in the corner. Another look at it right there. You see some debris come out from the rear end of that machine. We're still wondering what happened there. So Alex, what can you explain for us?
Bob, I checked in with the race team and they said Sheldon got on the radio and said, I simply lost it on my own. The piece of debris you saw come flying out from underneath the race car on the spin was the car whipping around so violently it broke off one of the fans that cools down the brakes. So no big issue there on the piece that came off the race car. The problem is you see right now, this team is prepping 4 tires, but they're old used tires. They're out of brand new tires based off of the strategy they played. So currently, after the spin, the points leader is going to have to go back under the green flag with tires that may be flat spotted, just in case they're getting these older tires ready to go.
Going to green this time by, so we'll keep an eye on Sheldon Creed. Maybe a little vibration in the cockpit of that race car after possibly flat spotting those cars when he spun here late in the race. So definitely not a good day for Sheldon Creed, being currently scored in the 9th spot. Chandler Smith, Chase Purdy, restart once again. Just over 50 laps to go here at Elko. Just so good on those restarts. Now, right in the mix of things, some bumping and banging going on right there. The 78 car for Mason Mitchell Motorsports, that's Blaine Perkins. But here comes Riley Hurts. He continues his march to the front.
Boy, Riley really wanted to clear that number 78 machine of Perkins, but Perkins with a great drive off the outside. Says, no thank you, I'm still running for this position. Give me enough room, I'll take it. Just an inch more than he needed there. Really great racing here.
Great shot there from the ARCA onboard camera. And basically, it's just about go time. These drivers a little bit further back, they can't pace themselves anymore. Guys like Eddie Thatcher in the 55 continues to have that good run, and he's on the inside groove. Blaine Perkins stuck the tough way around this 3/8 of a mile racetrack on the outside.
A little bit of smoke now billowing behind the number 28 of Sheldon Creed at the back tail of that last car in line momentarily.
So Sheldon Creed still on the lead lap here, right behind this pair of Eddie Thatcher and Blaine Perkins. More contact between the 55 and the 78.
Thatcher ran some limited Pro late model runs last year, getting this opportunity of venturing in motorsports. Hasn't raced since his last time here in Madison.
Look at this, some smoke billowing from the 28 now, something to keep an eye on. Championship picture definitely developing here today at Elko.
5 points per position from first to last. We had a 200-point lead. He could go half of that if he does not finish this race. Currently, number 28 machine is running in the 7th position.
That smoke getting stronger and stronger from the back end of that MDM number 28. The United Rentals machine for Sheldon Creed.
He and Zane Smith have had issues in this race. Zane's back 7 laps off the pace in 14th.
Interesting developments. We're fans just like you at home watching here to see what happens with Sheldon Creed. I'm being told by Alex Hayden that he has not reported anything on the radio, but I can guarantee you one thing. That team knows that smoke is getting more and more intense by the second. You can see Natalie Decker. Now here comes Creed. He slows on the inside of the racetrack, but the yellow flag is out. And I could see from my vantage point a spinner in turn number 4.
Travis Braden went around.
But Sheldon Creed coming back down pit road to find out what's going awry with that race car. So interesting developments here late in the going at Elko Speedway for Sheldon Creed.
Bob, I dropped it on the radio. They were going to come to pit road no matter what that lap. Then the caution came out.
Lucky break for them. Sometimes you got to be better lucky than being good here at Elko. ARCA Racing Series point leader Sheldon Creed out of the race. It will be his first DNF of the year, and Alex Hayden is standing by.
And clearly you can see the dejection on his face. Sheldon, First of all, what happened, and give us your thoughts on the way this race played out in the first part of it.
I'm not really sure. I think we lost a rear gear or transmission there. I thought we fired off really good at the beginning. I got up to third, fourth, ran there for a while, and then started saving it. And I got really, really tight when I started doing that. And try to drive what I had. That's all you can do at that point. And got dumped by Natalie Decker. Pretty funny, but I don't know. We came back down pit road when we got spun out there and made another adjustment that helped. And I was way faster than the 55 and the 78. They just like blocking the racetrack. So looked to be an okay night, and it was going to be an okay points night. But
what are your thoughts now, and what does this do for your championship aspirations?
Oh, I mean, it's always a bummer. The 41's not having a great night either, so I guess that's playing in our favor. But I don't know, frustrating.
No doubt about it. Sheldon Creed, your championship point leader, out of the race early.
So, Jim, as we look at the timing and scoring, you can see the 28 done for the night here at Elko Speedway. Zane Smith currently running in the 14th spot. He is going to move by Sheldon Creed in the running order of this race. But right now it looks like Zane Smith, barring nobody else drops out, that he'll only pick up about 2 or 3 positions on Sheldon Creed, but every position counts.
That's 10 or 15 points. Could be 20 points, 25 points by the end of this one. That leads 175. We're going to Berlin Raceway, a track they haven't been to before. If there's issues there, that lead could be cut in half again in just 2 races.
Real quickly, interesting conversation on top of the spotter stand as well. We heard Sheldon Creed say there was some contact with the 25.
Yeah, when Sheldon came to pit road, his spotter, Lauren Renier, said the spotter on the 25 already came down and apologized. So that pays off. Sheldon Creed got sent by the 25 in that caution.
Drama starting to build here at Elko Speedway in the ARCA Racing Series. Under 50 to go in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards here in the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 250 at Elko Speedway. Now it's time to go. Chandler Smith dominating this race, but Chase Purdy sniffing his first career ARCA Racing Series win on the front row for this restart.
Oil dry on the inside. I wonder why the leader picked there. He had a choice, either lane.
See if the 20 spins his tires here. Not as good of a restart as we've seen the 20 get. This is Chase Purdy's chance. Chase Purdy nudges out in front of the field trying to close the door.
Was he clear or not? The number 20 bumper, the black bumper got a lot of red on it. Pushing from behind there, trying to open the lane up again. On Purdy in the 8.
This is getting good in a hurry. Purdy trying to slam the door. Chandler Smith trying to keep it open. Chase Purdy to the lead here on lap 206. The JBL onboard camera with a great view of the battle for the lead. Christian Eckes hoping these two square off and maybe open up a lane that he's able to just sneak by.
And Eckes in the worst way as we're riding along wants to clear the number 18 car, Riley Herbst. He does so. Herbst was on this outside. Now Eckes will try to join this 2-car battle up front.
Hey, we were talking about it during the break. We said, what was Chase Purdy going to do to try to get by at a key restart? But now he's got to hold the 20 of Chandler Smith at bay.
Riley Herbst running here in 4th. How much do you save at this point, Bob? I say you save nothing.
No, you're going for it right now with 41 laps to go. Although Joe Graf Jr. spins, you see some damage to the left rear of that big time machine to bring out the caution once again. So let's take a look at what happened to Joe Graf Jr., the driver out of New Jersey. A little nudge, more than a little nudge, by Zane Smith in the 41. It's been a tough night for the guy that was second in points coming into this one, Zane Smith.
That's all about fighting for track position. We saw the 41 on the bottom, the number 41 of Zane Smith, again, working through his issues, now knowing he can gain points on Sheldon Creed, and the 77 of Joe Graf, fighting over the same chunk of real estate entering turn 1 there.
But I will point out, and I just have to point this out, if you look at Joe Graf on the lead lap, Zane Smith a couple of laps down, actually 7 laps down, currently running in 13th. Alex Hayden, what can you tell us?
Well, Graf's going to bring the race car down. I just checked in with Paul Andrews, the crew chief, on they have that extra set of tires for the right side of the race car in that last long caution put out by Sheldon Creed. I crawled up and asked, why didn't you go ahead and put those tires on for the run to the checkered? And he simply said, Paul Andrews, the crew chief, said, you know what, I think I made a mistake there. I didn't think we were going to be under caution as long as we were. Now, unfortunately, he got the nudge, went around. We expect him on the pit lane. The pit board is out, and Graf will come to pit road and put on those fresh right side tires. This actually could play out into their favor. Even though they brought the caution flag out, this may give them the advantage they need to potentially go to victory lane tonight with fresh tires on the right side.
And they're hoping now the left rear does not have any damage on it, just cosmetic. They don't have to address that. Get the 4 on, get back out there. There are 9 cars. This car is on lead lap, number 77, 9th, last on the lead lap right now.
And listen, we saw how much tires really meant early on in this race. When Joe Graf Jr. and Gustine didn't take those, they got gobbled up in a hurry. So this might be Joe Graf Jr.'s time to shine. 2 tires for the 77 team, for that Chad Bryant Racing team. This is going to be interesting to watch. Gustine also on pit road. You see the Gree Baker Distributing car also with a 2-tire stop. We knew those 2 cars were the only team still with tires on pit road. So right now, Gustine being scored in the 10th spot. Joe Graf Jr. was 9th.
Travis Braden has made yet another pit stop. He's made more trips down pit road of the cars on lead lap. The Matrix Care number 27, about 100 people here from Matrix Care at the racetrack. Their headquarters about 10 miles down the road. They're seeing a lot of action on pit road with that team that's based out of Indianapolis.
Gustine, the free pass recipient, so he'll be back on the lead lap. And Sioux Chief really in attendance here tonight. 215 people from that company based out of Missouri here tonight at Elko Speedway.
And that plumbing contract, man, if you go to Menards, there's a lot of cool Sioux Chief products, and a lot of contractors use it. They have a premium product available at Menards. That's part of the deal. Menards opening up their opportunities for these vendors to enjoy the racing. And I saw a lot of smiling faces in a big, long autograph line at Natalie Decker's car, among others, during the autograph session. A lot of those folks wearing Sioux Chief product T-shirts.
I met a lot of the Sioux Chief people just prior to this race, and they were, with those smiles on their face, just happy to be here. Okay, here we go. Now, under 40 to go. Chandler Smith is not the leader. Chase Purdy takes that outside groove, knows that Chandler Smith kind of didn't get that great restart last time by with some of that speedy drive, which has really worn off that lower groove.
Great drive by Purdy. Not clear yet. Not clear yet. Great run by Chandler Smith to stay in position here.
Can Chase Purdy pinch him? Can Purdy in the 8th put the pinch on Chandler Smith? Chandler Smith sends it in there to turn number 1, moves up half a groove, gives them a little edge coming off the corner.
No quarter taken, and they're rubbing again. This is the 2nd straight corner. They've been banging off each other.
Chase Purdy tired of finishing second. 7 second-place finishes. More bumping and banging in the corners here. A great view from the JBL camera of Christian Eckes, wondering what he's going to do. But here comes Riley Herbst on the outside of Eckes for 3rd. 32 laps to go. We all saw what happened in the final 2 between Austin Terrio and Christian Eckes last year. Look at Chandler getting into the left rear quarter panel of the Bama Buggies number 8. And look at Purdy just chop him off into 1.
This is awesome. Watching how great these young drivers can handle these 3,300-pound race cars on a 3/8 mile.
Think about this. The top 4 drivers, all teenagers here. This, actually the top 5 with Eddie Thatcher in that 5th spot. Alex Hayden, what can you tell us?
Certainly it's a great run going on right now for Purdy as he's got the race lead. Got a different crew chief, Mark McFarland, calling the shots as Cully Barraclaw's been ill, not here at the racetrack. But Mark McFarland, he's been a race car driver his whole life as well, running late models, had a stint in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, understands short track racing, has given Chase Purdy the race car he needs. Not surprised at all, Purdy's having a nice run. No worse than 7th finishes, or 7th place finish that is, on 5 different short tracks this year. So Chase Purdy is hungry to get to victory lane.
And we want to wish a speedy recovery to Cully as well. He's been out for a little while. Mark McFarland, the interim crew chief on that machine. But if you look at Purdy, he told me today, he said, you know what, I'm tired of being the bridesmaid. Not that he wants to be a bride, okay, but he wants to win a race. Contact between the 20 and the 8. Chandler Smith goes around in turn 1.
Purdy was not going to give up that lead position. He gave him the inside line and decided better. They made contact as Purdy was trying to position himself to chop down and get that lead position into turn 1. Smith, however, I think was too far up on his quarter and cost it there.
Definitely aggressive driving there, honestly, by both drivers, but Chandler Smith sent it, and it bit him in turn number 1.
Purdy again had a really close call a couple laps ago trying to get that lead. He got position. He got position again on Chandler Smith, who I believe thought he had the inside there. So it is hard racing. It is a tough call to make. And with that oil dry, they're still trying to get across that, not through it in turn 1. And we see the result here. So I'd say it's both parties. I'm not trying to blame Purdy for being aggressive, but his move into turn 1 was predicated on the fact he wanted to keep that lead, and Smith saw an opportunity.
Both drivers so talented. Chandler Smith, part of the Toyota Racing Development driver program, and he's done such a good job this year. Won Speed Fest for the CRA Super Series at Watermelon Capital Speedway in Georgia to begin the year. There's the aftermath of what shook down for the 20 of Chandler Smith. You can see there was some contact, and
there's
here's
the corner
a good
entry,
view
yep,
from the JBL camera, and honestly,
Chandler sailed it in there. He was way off the bottom.
He did. You know, Chase Purdy tried to cut down on him on entry, but by that time, Chandler was already there. The two made a little contact. Like you said, good, hard, aggressive racing, but the victim was Chandler Smith.
Smith will come to pit row. We see some front balance just a bit askew from that trip through the sod in the infield here at Elko Speedway.
Alex Hayden.
Here is the car. You see the damage. Punched a hole right in the nose where the Toyota emblem is on his Camry. Changed the right side tires. Now those are scuffed tires, which means they've already got laps on them. He's already used all 6 of his new tires tonight, but they had no choice. They had to go and put those on. He felt like he flat spotted them, but slight cosmetic damage to the nose of the race car. No puncture in the radiator, and that's what's important. So the car should be good to go, and here on a short track, aerodynamics don't mean that much.
So Chandler Smith will be the final car on the lead lap, being scored in 10th. By the way, how about Joe Graf Jr.? This kind of plays into his hands in that big time number 77. Pitted for tires, spun, got the caution, pitted for tires, and now already up to 6th.
Step 1, get fresh tires on within the last 50 laps. Check mark, lap 211 came to pit road for 4. Yes, he did cause his own caution. Step 2, get a caution to get better position, because that speed and pace by the leaders, he was catching them, but he was passing cars at the same time, now up to 6th in that big time Ford.
But even better than that, honestly, Gus Dean, who just got the free pass, took those tires on the last caution, is actually doing even better than the 77. Gus Dean in that gray Baker Distributing car has moved up to the 4th spot. And last year he finished 5th here at Elko. He's one of those short track standouts from South Carolina. He won in the Pro Cup Series. He's won in a lot of different local series around the Southeast. He got that big win a couple of years ago in ARCA at Talladega, and now going for his 2nd victory. That would be a big thing if he's able to use those tires and come to the front of the field. But first, he's got to go by the Bama Buggies number 8 machine of Chase Purdy. All right, Alex Hayden, what are they saying down there in the 8 pit?
Well, let's find out from the crew chief, Mark McFarland. Damage to the race car or not? What's he saying about it?
No, the car's fine. We're just a little bit tight. The 20 car was racing pretty hard there, and they got together and he spun, but I think we got a shot at it. I really do. Chase has done a great job, so we'll see if he can pull it off.
There it is, Mark McFarland, crew chief. They feel like they've got the car and the driver combination to get to victory lane tonight.
And now Christian Eckes in 2nd, the spot he was in last year where he finished. I asked Christian Eckes what he would do differently if he had to rerun that race from a year ago. He said, use the leader up just a little bit more, maybe be more aggressive. We'll see what he does here. Oh, look at Chase Purdy trying to cross down on the nose of the 15 of Christian Eckes, side by side off of 2.
Purdy trying to make that middle groove work. That's Gus Dean bouncing off the outside wall on the 32 machine.
Gus Dean is coming. Look at him. That Kevin Sawinski-owned team. Sawinski ran ASA late model stock cars up here in Minnesota for LaFavor Racing and Country Joe Racing for so many years. Now hoping to go to victory lane as a car owner corner with Gus Dean going for second here in the closing laps, just 17 to go.
Turn the page to 2018, another exciting run to the finish at Elko Speedway. Last year was epic. 4 cars, 5 cars battling for the lead. Same goes this year.
The shortest track on the schedule, and Christian Eckes also in jeopardy of another driver with fresher tires. The 77 of Joe Graf, he's up to 4th and threatening.
Got underneath Riley Herbst. He's trying to get underneath Christian Eckes as well. He'll do it. Pressure rubber on that black 77 big time Ford makes it work for 3rd.
And sometimes 8 tires is better than 4. Battle for the lead. Here comes Gus Dean. Gus Dean on the inside of Chase Purdy. They make contact in 3. They rub, but Dean keeps it straight. The momentum for Purdy off the corner.
Chase is doing everything he can, giving him an inch plus the inside line, and that's all he's got. They're banging off each other here. Both went way deep into turn number 1 and saved it.
No holds barred racing here on the shortest track on the schedule. Contact to the back of the 32 from Joe Graf Jr. The 77. Gus Dean to the lead.
That was not an intentional bump trap move there at all. Graf paid the price. Perhaps his brakes could have been soft.
Hold on, Chase Purdy. Fresher rubber is paying off. We thought that was bad strategy, but honestly, the cards were dealt the right way for both Gus Dean and Joe Graf Jr. Now 1 and 2 on the racetrack.
Smoke coming out of the back of the Bama buggies. Toyota the red number 8. We see the bumper cover in the rear also getting a little bit loose, and that car now running 3rd. Purdy, who's led so many laps late in the going, a bit of smoke out the back end of his MDM Toyota now as well.
Riley Herbst on the outside of Christian Eckes. Herbst now up another spot into the 4th position. But the battle for the lead should be interesting here. Look at Joe Graf go down low, but that's going to hurt him coming off the corner.
The confidence that Joe Graf had started at Talladega with that runner-up finish. That young man has had a different approach here. That veteran team with Cunningham Motorsports heritage, getting this driver in the comfort zone. They've won 5 Scott Rookie of the Challenge races in the last 8 years. The Scott Rookie of the Year came from this team. To bring Graf in and adapt him for what was a 6-race schedule to now race this well is awesome.
Oh, trouble on the racetrack.
Purdy's car is up
Yellow
in flames.
Purdy, flames. We caught that from our vantage point here in the booth. Chase Purdy climbing out of the race car very quickly.
A big plume of fire out the back of the number 8 car. Glad to see Chase is out and okay.
There was contact, though, between he and another race car. Let's take a look at it here. And there you see Chase Purdy go up in flames here late in the race. And then I think everybody didn't know where they were going, and somebody made contact with the back end of that Bama Buggies machine.
Yeah, went up off of turn number 2. He tried to slow it down as fast as he could there. Yep.
Oh, that was a hard hit there by the kid from Long Island, Eddie Thatcher, into the back of Chase Purdy's car. Now that was interesting. I don't think I've seen something like that in a very long time. Dylan Smith, you can see him with his driver, Chase Purdy. Dylan Smith, a pretty good racer in his own right, doing the PR for MDM Motorsports, but another disappointing day for Chase Purdy. So close to a victory again here in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards.
Scary moment. Great news is that Chase is walking away from what could have been a really scary accident.
Alex Hayden is there with Chase Purdy.
The helmet just coming off for Chase Purdy, and oh man, racing hard, potential win here tonight. What happened out there to create the issue on the racetrack?
Well, I mean, you gamble on these races, and the 77 and 32 took tires. They had newer tires, and you know, at that point you're racing with them, and then 77 kind of clocked me down the backstretch and got me sideways really bad and hit me good, and it just kind of messed our night up from there. Things went downhill, and next thing I know, it's smoking and I'm on fire. So, you know, I'm really proud of my MDM guys and Bama Buggies team, and you know, it's just very unfortunate we can't close one of these out, and I'll be damned if we weren't in the same position tonight and we just couldn't get the job done, and something like this happens. It's misfortune, but
it's obviously you're able to have a bit of a smile on your face, but what is the emotion right now, and how frustrated are you knowing that you were that close?
You just go from such a high to a low. I mean, you go from leading the race to the car's on fire, you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to put into feelings what it's like. So
good news is Chase Purdy is okay as he's walked away from a car that still continues to smolder out here in turn 3.
And you can hear the emotion from Chase Purdy. He's a good kid. You know, his family has put just about everything into his career. He's come so close last year in the NASCAR Can-Am Pro Series East Circuit, and now this year in the ARCA Racing Series. And to see this happen, you know, when you were so close to victory, you just got to imagine what the emotion is going through his head. Remember, Chase Purdy is only 18 years old. He's only been racing for a handful of years, from Legends cars, Bandoleros, up to late models, and now to the ARCA Racing Series.
That string of top 5 finishes, that weighs on him as well, knowing he's been close the last 4 or 5 races, not just once or twice this season. Of the 6 top 5s, 4 of those coming in the most recent 4 races. And we noticed the smoke coming out of the back of the number 8 car from the center of the car, eerily similar to what his teammate Sheldon Creed had experienced with a rear end issue. That may have compounded with the, as Chase described, contact from the number 77 of Joe Graff Jr. laps prior to this incident.
Whew, interesting turn of events here for Chase Purdy. Thought he was going to be maybe going to victory lane for the first time in his career here in ARCA. A lot more to come here on MAV TV. Make sure you watch the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Spring Creek National in Minnesota, July 21st at 2 p.m. That's going to be a wild show. Plenty of good racing going on. Elk River with the Midwest Short Course League for the off-road circuit here, competing this weekend here in Minnesota. And then the Primera Plastics 200 at Berlin Raceway, Marne, Michigan. You know that racetrack very well. Next Saturday night at 9 p.m. That circle is going to be a lot of fun.
Get that set reminder plugged in, locked in right now. Next Saturday night, same time, locked in. ARCA Racing live on Saturday night on MAV.
Gus Dean now leading this race. Alex Hayden, I just wonder what's going through all their minds.
That's the million-dollar question. Gus Dean, obviously we can't talk to him. He's sitting out on the racetrack right now, helmet on under the red flag, but we can talk to his crew chief, Jamie Jones. So the emotion of what's going on right now, how do you keep everything in check?
Well, you just got to keep your emotions in check, because that don't help when it gets in the way. I'm just happy that Degree Chevrolet, Baker Distributing, Chevrolet is really running good tonight. I didn't make the best call early in the race. It has worked out good now for us. So us in the 77's on the same deal. I don't think it's over yet. It's going to get pretty hectic right here. So we'll see how it works out.
With a handful of laps remaining in this race, are you concerned about the heat cycle on these tires with that fresher set of right side tires?
No, not really. I'm more worried about bumpers, fenders. That's what it's going to come down to, because they're not going to give. And unfortunately, they're going to use each other up trying to win the race, because both of them want you to win the race.
We've seen the leader choose the inside lane or outside lane a couple of different times tonight. Do you have a preference to tell your driver which lane to choose on this restart?
We already decided. We're going to take the inside, because that way we can just control our own destiny. If we put him on the outside, then the 77 can use us up. So we'd rather use the 77 up if we have to.
It is hard to win in the ARCA Series. What would a win mean for not only the Gus, the driver, but for this entire race team tonight?
We deserve it. I mean, we have ran good so much all year long, and we ain't got nothing to show for it. It'd be big for us. I mean, Wintron ain't won in probably 5 or 6 years, and I mean, Gus would be the second win, and I'd just be happy for everybody to agree, and Baker, because they deserve it.
I guess the theme tonight, guys, is you better be lucky than good here at Elko, because that's what's happened here. Jamie admitted that he might have made a bad call, but it's worked out in their favor tonight.
And Alex, you better be tough here tonight as well, because we still got quite the battle with 8 laps to go. There is Eddie Thatcher, and Jim, we saw Eddie Thatcher running in the top 5 just prior to that incident, and he made some heavy contact with the 8 of Chase Purdy, and you can see that damage has buckled the hood and some damage to the right side of that car as well.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at some stats here on Gus Dean. Last year he finished top 5 here at Elko Speedway. The remaining short track races, this race was run earlier in the season a year ago. He never finished worse than 9th the remaining short track races, so Gus Dean might find his own fire to light tonight. Pun intended, because we know Chase is okay. But we talked about Sheldon Creed and how hot he is coming into this one. He didn't finish. He finished 9th, 6th, and better on the remaining short tracks in 2017, did Gus Dean. So I think that team is getting their mojo right where they want it at this point in the season.
Well, Travis Braden looking for his 4th straight top 10 finish of this current run in the season. And, you know, we were surprised, honestly, with Travis Braden and this team that they had not been better on some of the short tracks, because this guy is a former Winchester 400 winner, a 2-time ARCA Series Super Series champion, and he has struggled a little bit, but right now still in the top 10. Joe Graff Jr., though, with a banged-up, battered, and bruised race car. Let's find out what's going on with the 77 camp with Alex Hayden.
Well, I've got crew chief Paul Andrews down here, and Paul, you and I were chatting a little bit earlier, and you said, boy, I might have messed up on this and made a mistake on the call. I guess this was the ace up the sleeve. How do you feel about it right now?
I'll tell you, we feel pretty good about it. Yeah, I was a little worried because we didn't take those tires a lap with 50 to go here, but yeah. We'll say this may work out for us. We've passed the 32 just like we are right now once before. I think we're a little better than he is. I think we're about on the same strategy playing with tires. We'll just have to see what happens, though. We just can't make no mistakes and got to do what we can to pass them.
As your driver, Joe, said, if the car is better on the outside lane or inside lane tonight?
We've been good on the outside on these restarts for sure, but then once that kind of settles in and everybody settles down, then we're good on the bottom. I think we're a little better than the 32, but we'll see.
As a guy who's been racing professionally for 41 years, Paul, does it ever get old to be in this position?
No, this is what we live for right here. This is what we live for. We're here to win.
Paul Andrews, I mentioned 41 years as a professional in auto racing. Well, he's been in this business so long that he actually won a Winston Cup championship as a crew chief with newly inducted NASCAR Hall of Fame member Alan Kowicki back in 1992.
And that is pretty awesome. There is Natalie Decker, right now currently being scored 6th, but we do know that she could move up depending on the damage from Eddie Thatcher, who is being scored in that 5th spot. So in the first race with Frank Kimmel, the 10-time ARCA Series champion, as her crew chief, she's having a very good race. She does have some experience here in late models, ran this race 1 year ago, but she told me today this is a very important race. It's go time for her. She finished with a great finish, top 5 run there at Daytona, but today hoping for just maybe another good solid top 5.
And Bob, we've seen a driver start last and now show us some great onboard pictures in the ARCA Coolers number 18 machine. Let's check in with Riley Herbst thanks to Racing Electronics. Riley, your car at this point in the race, do you have something for those leaders who continue to seem to fight each other with magnets on their cars?
Yeah, I don't know. The front two have gone pretty aggressive. Hopefully it stays that way and we can sneak by without them noticing.
Riley, while you have this moment at this point in the race, do you think about last year and the great run you had and that close quarters? Does that help you now, knowing what you can use on this racetrack to gain advantage?
I think so. It's been a really tight racing, and hopefully everybody at home is enjoying it because I'll tell you what, it's been fun in here in the cockpit.
Well, Riley, we wish you well the best of the way. Booty Barker doing a lot of changes today. Hope it pays off for you. Thank you.
Thanks.
It's Riley Herbst in the onboard communication thanks to Racing Electronics. We see him kind of just getting his thoughts here because 1 year ago, Bob, for those who didn't see it, he was involved with the top 5 run of the finish. He got together with Zane Smith, crashing, coming to the checkered flag. It was a big deal a year ago, so that's why I wanted to see what his mindset is. Let's maybe take a look at it from a year ago.
Let's take a look at the final 2 laps here and set this up. The 52 of Austin Terrio, last year's champion, boots the 15 of Christian Eckes up the racetrack. The 55 was Zane Smith, the 18 Riley Herbst. Look at this battle right to the finish, Jim.
Yeah, Zane is that black 55 on the bottom. That blue 18 is Riley. He got sideways, but he said, I'm not done yet. I need to get a position. He got in the back of that 55.
Watch his finish. Oh, about 2 feet, maybe. And Austin Terrio wins over Christian Eckes. And Riley Herbst was right in the thick of things. That contact with Zane Smith. Austin Terrio celebrating in victory lane. There is the contact with the 15, the 52, the race to the finish. But Riley Herbst getting into the back of Zane Smith's 55. Zane Smith took a pretty good lick in the front stretch wall.
That was coming to the checkered flag. A year ago, we thought, man, that race can't be equal. We've seen some really good racing here tonight again.
So I was sitting with Riley Herbst up in turn 2 when I first got here this morning. The pits opened around 10 o'clock this morning, and I saw Riley walking around the racetrack. And he sat up on the turn 2 wall, and I said, what you thinking about? He said, I'm thinking about how much I love this race and love this racetrack. And I said, what did you learn last year that will make you better this year? And he told me 3 key things. He says, honestly, last year I was way too impatient. I overdrove the race car, and I made a lot of rookie mistakes. So tonight, it has been a flawless race for the driver who, because of that left front locking up in qualifying, he actually had to go and start at the rear of the field. In fact, let's take a look at what happened to him in qualifying a little bit earlier today, because this was pretty wild. I didn't know what was going on with this race car, Jim.
So they come out of the backstretch pits. They come flying to the start-finish line for their first that's when the clock starts in qualifying. And this was an issue for Riley the entire run of those 2-3 laps. The left front brake literally seizing up on that car, locking those tires on the racetrack during qualifying.
19 years old in the Joe Gibbs Racing stables. Of course, his family famous out in the off-road ranks on the West Coast, but there's what remains of the number 8 of Chase Purdy. So close to a victory here, running in the top 3. The car catches fire, a big lick from Eddie Thatcher's machine, and Chase Purdy's dreams crushed here today at Elko Speedway.
8 laps left, Bob. I think there's a whole lot more racing to go here once we get back going.
Track getting cleaned up. We'll return just a minute to MAV TV.
The ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards, has been brought to you by General Tire. Anywhere is possible. Protect Plus, official licensee for DuPont air filtration products. And by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world.
Under red flag conditions here in the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 250 with just 8 laps to go. Chase Purdy catching fire. He's okay and now out of the race. Gus Dean is your leader. Joe Graf Jr. and Riley Herbst, the top 3. I'm Bob Dillner, Jim Trado alongside Alex Hayden on pit road for us, getting us good information from pit lane here today. We got a lot of good racing coming up here in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, and a lot of it you can see on MAV TV. Let's take a look at some of those races, including next Saturday night in the Wolverine state of Michigan at Berlin Raceway. That is a state-of-the-art facility.
Another great storied racetrack from the Midwest. Looking forward to next Saturday night live here on MAV TV. Then we're off to the Tricky Triangle, Pocono Raceway, back on the dirt. Sheldon Creed loves the dirt. He's looking forward to maybe getting some of those points back at both dirt races. August 19th, join us live on MAV, the Illinois State Fairgrounds at Springfield, Illinois. Then we travel on Labor Day weekend to the General Tire Grabber 100 at the track at DuQuoin, Illinois, the Illinois State Fairgrounds at DuQuoin, another state fair. Ferris wheels, fun, corn dogs, and great racing on the dirt once again.
Speaking of dirt racing, as we watch the cleanup here at Elko Speedway, I understand that there was a big milestone at Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri tonight in the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series Diamond Nationals. Scott Bloomquist, the dirt track dominator, able to grab his 600th career dirt late model victory. So congratulations to Black Sunshine and Team Zero on scoring 600. He's one of those mystical characters in dirt racing, and a big congratulations to Scott and that group. A great show as always out at Lucas Oil Speedway.
Great job by that team. I mean, it's such a great effort to have Scott Bloomquist be as good as long as he has. We've seen Steve Kinzer. We've seen Donnie Schatz now take on kind of the reins of the sprint car world, and all those teams in that sustenance, really, in being good for that long. It's amazing that Bloomquist has, not amazing to some, but Bloomquist has raced a lot of different tracks, a lot of different series, and to win in a series he's going for the championship for, it's a big deal.
54 years old, from California originally. Just an interesting story, and so much good racing on the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. But great racing here tonight, and the fans have enjoyed it here at Elko Speedway. This is, as I said, a state-of-the-art facility, and these folks are seeing for the second consecutive year just a fantastic show.
So we got the sweepers going. There was some fluid put on the racetrack. There's some oil dry put down. We've got some blowers going. We're doing everything possible here. The Elko Speedway staff, along with the ARCA safety team, the safety initiative is top-notch. They've got all the equipment working toward this to get the track cleared for these final 8 laps of racing.
That's a lot of speedy dry put down on the racetrack in turns 3 and 4. That's smack dab in the middle of the corner in a very critical spot of the racetrack. There is Joe Graf Jr. currently running in second.
Well, there's a driver that we've been talking about with fresher tires than just about everybody in the field, Joe Graf Jr. Let's get you on the radio, Joe. What are you thinking now through this long pause of how you're going to attack these last 8 laps, knowing you've got fresher tires than those around you in this 77 teal?
Well, the big time Ford has been really, really good tonight. I'm really looking forward to this last restart. I know me and Gus are on the same tires, but Paul Andrews made a really good call early in the race to stay out and not take tires, and it's paying off here for sure.
All right, you guys have same tires, but it appeared your car was at points faster. You actually made contact with a couple of cars. Any worries about the damage from just racing that hard on this little racetrack?
No, that's just short track racing. I'm not really worried about it. The car's been driving good, and I think we have a really good shot here.
Joe, you were part of the closest finish in ARCA and Talladega Superspeedway history just a few races ago. You finished second in that one. What was your takeaway that may help you on this shortest track on the schedule?
I don't really know. There's not much that correlates with Talladega to here, but second by that close definitely sucks. I'm hoping I don't do that again tonight.
We hope you have a safe run to the finish. Joe Graff, thanks for your time. Joe Graff again finishing the closest margin of victory to Zane Smith at Talladega Superspeedway. I asked about what he learned there because from then he gained confidence, but he's like, man, I was that close to winning. Now how can that parlay on the short track? He's got short track experience. He's got a lot of short track racing. He's run Legends cars around the country for years. Pro late model last year, some super late model. Now it's a chance to prove himself with a really, really good team.
And you can see some of the battle scars on that machine, not just by the composite body damage, but you can also see that left front tire. The general tire, the lettering completely off of that left front tire for Joe Graff Jr. So it'll be Dean, Graff, Herbst, Eckes, and a bunch of others going at it here at Elko. Round 6 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge has been a wild one for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. We're live at Elko Speedway tonight on MAV TV right here in Minnesota. Gus Dean closing in possibly on his second career win in this series. Let's find out a little bit more with him, Jim.
And let's check in with the driver who's going to lead us back to the green flag in that Gree Baker Distributing Chevrolet for Wintron Racing. Gus, you guys were able to, on this caution, to dissect this ultra-critical restart. What do you think has to go right here when we get back racing?
Well, I think it's just imperative we get a really clean restart here. If we can get out ahead of the 77, on the same tire program we are, so if we can get out ahead of him and in the 18 and the 77 do battle there, I think that'll give us just enough time to just slip away and hopefully grab the victory.
Gus, we talked to your crew chief, Jamie Jones, and you guys made a lane choice decision on the most recent caution. With this oil dry down, have you guys talked about what lane you may take? You don't have to tell us the truth either.
No, I think the bottom's going to be the safest place to be with all the oil dry up high, so hopefully that works out to our favor and we can get a good restart. Shouldn't be too many laps left by the time we go green, so hopefully I can hold on to it those last couple laps.
And Gus, it may be fresh in your mind. We just happened to show our viewers on MAV TV the replay of last year's exciting finish where you made your way to 5th. You said the seas kind of parted. How are you going to control your own destiny here in these final 8 laps to get that restart and then finish it?
As long as we can get that clean restart and get out front, I think it's going to be smooth sailing to the checkered flag.
All right, Gus, we wish you well in these final moments of this race.
Thank you so much.
Gus Dean. Never quit attitude here tonight for that Gree team. Remember, they went a lap down. They were in jeopardy of not even having a top 10 run, and now they're battling for the win. One of the independent teams here in the ARCA Racing Series, and there are quite a few. We talk about the big teams of MDM and Venturini Motorsports, but here's what some of those independent teams have done this year.
Yeah, Riley Herbst has a very good program at Gibbs Racing, but in reality, that's a one-car effort, so they're really working on just Riley's efforts to get going here, and he's got some good results this year. He's not had that victory, though. Last year at Pocono was his only victory in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, and Travis Braden, we talked about knocking on the door. His debut in the series in his own car was a victory. This season, full-time with Don Fike and RFMS Racing. Up in the top 5 in points, looking for a solid run tonight. He's in the 27 car, currently in the 9th position here in this late going in the race. And Gus, we just talked to him. I mean, he has a great chance. And Joe Graff, those guys are going to put on a show here at the finish. Those independent guys, if you will, have yet to win this year. MDM Racing has got 8 victories. To Venturini Motorsports, 4 victories in the 12 races run this far. So we are going to see perhaps another winner this year amongst these 3, or will we? Because it could get really crazy.
Joe Gibbs Racing for Riley Herbst. They're also involved in NASCAR, of course, with championships as well as wins and so forth. Booty Barker has been around the NASCAR garage area for a long time. Alex Hayden has been there for so many years, knows a lot about that guy, and he's with Booty Barker right now.
Absolutely, Bob. Pride of Virginia Tech University. This is a Hokie I'm sitting next to, and Robert Booty Barker up here. So you guys had to start at the back of the field, some issues in qualifying. Let's start right there. What were the problems in qualifying that forced the tire change and some front end adjustments?
Well, first off, Riley's done a tremendous job. We put him behind the 8-ball today. It's still not right. Some of the issues we had in qualifying or some of the things that were left over from practice, but we got it a lot better. So he's doing a fine job. So, you know, it's not exactly where it needs to be. Some of the issues we had in qualifying, he's having to manage, but otherwise, you know, it's going pretty well.
All right, so start at the back of the field. You rallied your way up with your driver and this race team. Good pit stops. How has the car been throughout the running of this race to this point?
He can't charge the entry like he'd want to, just like qualifying. It's kind of hampering him a bit, but once he gets to the center, it turns real well. And then he's managing his exit. You know, forward drive here, you can spin him anytime you want. So he's doing well. Anyway, I'd like to thank NOS Energy and ARCA Coolers and Joe Gibbs Racing and all the guys. You know, we've worked hard to get here. We got an opportunity. Those first two have tires. It worked out for them, but it's going to get crazy.
I believe that's the right way to put it. Crazy is what it's about to become here. That's Robert Booty Barker, crew chief. For third place, Riley Herbst.
And Booty told me today his first ever NASCAR Cup experience as a crew member, North Wilkesboro, the last race they ran at that racetrack. So he's had short track roots going into NASCAR and now back here in the ARCA Racing Series. Love to see his attitude and his efforts here today. Hopefully pay off with a great run with Riley.
Going to be going green here shortly at Elko Speedway, but before we do that, here's some of the programming you'll be seeing in upcoming weeks on MAV TV.
Work.
Some great racing tonight at Elko Speedway for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. This, the 6th round of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. 250 laps. The distance here tonight, we're just 6 laps away from seeing who's going to win what has been a wild second half of the race.
And this 28-minute red flag period has everybody tuned in. The antennas are high and wide on every team because they've had a chance to talk not only crew chief to driver, spotter analyzing what may have happened to a different car that may be running around their car as we reach these final 8 laps. And these laps do count, so we'll have a very, very short run to the finish.
Down to 5 right now. So we just keep on clicking off laps here. We'll see what shakes down. I know by looking at Twitter, we're seeing a lot of people just loving what they're seeing here tonight. I want to know something from you. You think we might see some more bumping and banging before the end of this one?
Guaranteed. and we will finish this race under green.
Yes.
We will not finish the race under caution. If we see the white flag, the next flag is not going to end the race. If we see the white flag, we still have a chance to get the yellow out to make sure the fans and you at home get to see a green flag finish.
And ARCA does a great job with those rules because the fans are what make racing happen. You know, the drivers are great, everybody that does their job, the series officials, but the fans really is what it's all about. Now, 1 lap until we go green. So when we get the green flag here, we'll have 3 laps to go. It'll be a dash for the cash here at Elko Speedway.
Practice with me. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Hold your breath. Here we go.
Can you hold your breath for 3 laps?
Nope.
I think you can here.
I'm gonna have to, I think.
You see some bumping and banging even before the 3rd turn for this restart. What Gus Dean needs to do, honestly, is bring the 77 a little bit high coming off of turn number 4. We'll see if he can do it. Look at the 77 trying to inch out ahead, but he does not dictate the start. And a wiggle by the 32 on that speedy drive.
Gus did not get a good run. A lot of bumping and banging. Up the hill goes the 77. Here comes Eckes.
Grab back to 4th. Here comes Riley Herbst on the inside. Gus Dean all alone for the lead. 2 laps to go. What will happen here? This is exactly what Gus Dean wants to see. He wants to see Eckes and Herbst go at it. And here comes Graf to the inside.
For all it's worth, he dive bombed to the bottom of 3. He knew he was not going to use his entire brake pedal to make the corner. He got under Herbst and made the pass.
Can Eckes catch him? I don't think it's going to happen. 1 lap down earlier in this race. The driver from South Carolina, Gus Dean, wins here at Elko. And the crew for the green team is just happy as can be. And that is a special win for Kevin Sawinski. He and his wife Tracy spent so many years up here racing themselves for LeFevre Racing, Country Joe Holmes, you name it, back in the late model stock cars in ASA. And now they will go to victory lane as car owners, winners here at Elko Speedway with Gus Dean behind the wheel.
And Gus drove a great race, thinking about what he had to do to manage his tires on restarts. That last restart was not championship material, but he came off of turn 4. He knew he had to get inside position on those last runs. He got into turn 1. He stayed on the inside. He didn't lose a full car length, which was the big, big difference.
Exactly what the doctor ordered for Gus Dean after a disastrous Iowa. Let's take a look at the Power Stop race recap here. And on the front row for this one, the General Tire Pole Award winner, Christian Eckes out front early, but here came the 20 of Chandler Smith battling with point leader Sheldon Creed.
Yeah, that's to put him a lap down, believe it or not. Not a great night for our point leaders.
Gus Dean spins out older tires, winds up going a lap down in this one, but they never gave up. Sheldon Creed with some trouble here. He would actually be a DNF in this race, we believe. Troubles in the rear end of that 28.
Rear gear on that point leader. We also know Zane Smith, the number 41 machine, going by him there. He had some issues early on and stayed throughout, 7 laps down. And we thought Chase Purdy might have been the driver to watch towards the end here. He and Chandler Smith had equal cars, but Purdy had better position.
Joe Graff goes around.
This changed everything.
It did. They were able to come down pit road, but then contact between the 20 of Chandler Smith. Around goes the 16-year-old in a battle for the lead. Chase Purdy now relinquishes the lead. Fresher tires in Gus Dean, and then Purdy explodes in flames, gets nailed by the 55 of Eddie Thatcher. Luckily, he was okay. Gus Dean with the checkered flag. He's going to be a happy guy in victory lane, Alex Hayden.
He is indeed. Gus Dean has just taken the helmet off. He is getting absolutely mobbed here in the window from his team members after this spectacular drive to get to victory lane. This race car has got the damage of a short track all over it. Here he is, Gus Dean, climbing out of the race car. The winner at Elko Speedway, as he's going to stand up and give a big salute. Bear hugs all the way around. Let's see if we can jump in here and grab one himself. Well, congratulations, Gus.
Thank you, sir.
Give us the way this thing played out on that final restart.
You know, we made a pretty risky call there on pit road. It ended up working out for us. We knew we had to get a really good restart. Didn't end up getting that great of a restart, but 77 tried to pinch me a little bit, and I wasn't giving up this win tonight, so we got back around him and coasted back to the finish line.
How crazy was this race for you from start to finish?
Oh, it was wild. We were going from the front to the back to the front to the back, and you know, that last stint there right before that last caution, we were able to come back up through the field, and I'm gonna tell you, my heart was pounding pretty good when we fired back up for that last restart.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Gus Dean has won at Elko.
Congratulations to Gus Dean, the entire team. Here are the finishing results. Dean, Eckes, Graff, Herbst, your top 4. But how about the second top 5 of the year for Natalie Decker with an impressive run with Frank Kimmel as her new crew chief?
Yeah, pole at the biggest track, her second biggest track, and a top 5 at Daytona. It's a great move for her. Yes, the changes were, hey, let's do something where we can get her in a position. They made a crew swap this week, paid off for Natalie, finishing 5th, and Chandler Smith able to rebound to 6th after that spin late in the going.
4 straight top 10s for Travis Braden. That will help him in the point standings. Robert Bruce, how about that? With a top 10 run after spinning early in this race. So we saw a lot of attrition here today at Elko Speedway. But once again, this track, the shortest on the circuit, provided for some gnarly excitement.
It did, and Joe Graff Jr., we thought maybe he was the one in the catbird seat because he was outside of Gus Dean on an initial restart, and Gus spun the tires and was able to somehow pull away with the lead.
Here's the key thing. We know that Sheldon Creed, the point leader coming in, had that 200-point lead. Finishes 15th. Zane Smith finishes just a little bit better than him in 12th. So Zane able to gain some spots despite poor runs for both teams.
Could have been a lot worse for either one. Had we had 40 cars like we do at Daytona, that would have been a bigger point difference in their runs. But they are going to be looking at the short tracks and going, okay, we know Purdy was fast to be good at Berlin. We know next Saturday night, right back here on Mavs, going to be another great short track run.
What a race here tonight. Trouble for point leader Sheldon Creed. So for Alex Hayden, Jim Trado, and everybody at Lucas Oil Production Studios, I'm Bob Dillner, and we say thank you so much for watching the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, and a big congratulations to Gus Dean here at Elko Speedway.